Well, let's bring in community leader Pastor Shannon Wright. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What is your take on the mayor's claim that the state of Baltimore is strong?
What is he drinking and where is it sold? You know, we're living in two different Baltimores. I live in a Baltimore where the public schools are not performing, where you've got schools with zero proficiency and students with just one or two proficient students. I live in a city where, although the homicide demographics are changing, you've got more younger victims and perpetrators. I don't see what he saw.
Yeah, Pastor Wright, in speaking of education, Chris Papps just reported in his story there are some concerns about the data the state of Maryland has been reporting in terms of juvenile proficiency or young people's proficiency on math tests. Given that, we've seen a rise in juvenile crime this year. The mayor is announcing now Dr. Letitia Jaraza will become the interim deputy mayor for Equity and Health and Human Services, basically dealing with what many consider a public health crisis with the young people who are dying. What kind of move do you think that is? Is that important? Do you see that as something that should be done?
So anything that can be done to assist the youth is a good thing, but to rely on that as the solution is a very bad setup for failure. When we're seeing youth that are out, not in school, that are on street corners, that are doing things, that are getting shot, that are doing the shooting, it is because something is broken before they even get to school. So you've got children coming from broken homes where parents are not parenting, going into a school system where teachers are not able to teach. This is a setup for a disaster. So the Band-Aid of this new deputy mayor position is cute, but unless we get to the root of the problems, we're just putting on Band-Aids. We're not fixing the situation.
Let's talk about city services. The mayor says he promises the return of weekly recycling by the first quarter of 2024, about a year from now. Our taxes aren't going down. We're still paying the same amount of taxes, but the services are not coming back soon enough. What do you think of that timeline?
So the mayor said some things about how he brought back recycling, but he took it away too. So when you know, this is a lot of smoke and mirrors here in Baltimore. You talk about you brought back something that you took away. You talk about you're going to bring it back fully in a time frame that does not compute. You've got Department of Public Works, that is one of the most well-funded agencies in the city. You've got people that are paying taxes for the specific service that are not getting it. When you have people that are paying taxes for services that they're not getting, you have quality of life issues all over the city on all sorts of scales and charts. How do you expect to look at one and people and say the city is strong, number one, right, and number two, that we're going in the right direction? The right direction according to who?
Pastor Wright, quickly before you go, you said we're putting on a lot of Band-Aids. What's a solution that you think would help immediately?
There's a couple of things. One, in all honesty, and saying this is going to leave a bad taste in my mouth, but I actually agree with the mayor, let that sink in for a minute, on his whole curfew idea. When we've got parents that aren't understanding the concept of when nighttime comes, children's supposed to be in the house, they need a little help to recognize that. Now, the problem we have in Baltimore is we come up with an idea and a solution on the surface without the steps to actually implement it to make sure that it's effective. So yes, a curfew is a great idea if you have the resources in place to actually be able to effectively implement it. Going back to education, talking about Kerwin, great idea if there were safeguards to make sure that the educational resources were actually making it to the classroom. In a city like Baltimore, where you've got ghost students, poor performing students, zero proficiency students, what makes anybody think that if you increase the money, you're going to increase the results? You might increase the results and have more ghost students and fewer proficient students. Money isn't the issue here. It's understanding, it's education, and it's the ability to effectively lead. And fortunately for all of us here in Baltimore, next year's an election year.
All right, thank you. Pastor Shannon Wright, thank you for being here with us tonight.
And Mayor Scott also touted Baltimore's recovery from the pandemic.